Hello, new drivers to Lone Star Drift and all other drift events, and also returning drivers that run into people constantly and suck. We are going to talk, well, no, I guess everybody. We're going to talk about tandem etiquette. What is tandem? First of all, this is Aaron, this is Lone Star Drift Channel. Tandem is drifting when two cars go at the same time and move together. Now, you need to know etiquette for how to tandem. What does that mean? It means if you go out on track and you run up against somebody and he spins and then you run into him and he didn't know you were there and now you made a mortal enemy and both of you hate each other, you had a failing in tandem etiquette. What you need to know is how to be on track with other cars and how to function with them. Otherwise, something could go wrong. So what we have first, we need to make sure the other driver knows we are there. Typically, we are in line together and we hot lap or we do single laps, but we always get into grid and we're next to other drivers. Typically at Lone Star Drift events, we have a right-hand lane and a left-hand lane. Right hand, left hand. Right hand is for single runs, so all those dudes that are gonna do single runs, and on the left, we have guys that are doing tandem laps. That means more than one car at a time, really close together, sometimes up to 20 at once. Now, you need to know who is going to drive with you so that you feel comfortable with him. So I'm like, hey, dude in that car over there next to me. I look at him, I'm like, hey, do you want a tandem? That's what we do for tandem. And he's like, yeah, man. And I'm like, cool, I'm 1, you're 2. And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go second. And he's like, cool. And then somebody drives up over here, he's like, hey, can I go? And I'm like, yeah, you're 3. And now we know I'm first, he's second, he's third. We know how to fall in the line. Everything's good. Some other dude rides up. He's like, hey guys, can I go? And we're like, no, you're terrible. You're gonna spin out and kill us. We're like, nah. And he's like, oh, womp, womp, womp. And you hurt his ego. Now he's your mortal enemy anyways. So we have now said that guy's not driving with us. These guys are, and this is the order they are in. Now, if we wanna add more people, we can continue doing that. And at the corner, or at the grid worker, the guy that's running grid, he looks at you guys and goes like, 2 of y'all? And you're like, yeah. And then somebody's like, no, 4. They put out the window and he's like, okay, 4? And all you guys are like, yeah. Or you're like, who the hell's that 4th guy? And we're like, no, 3. And then the grid worker guy's like, okay, 3. And then that 4th guy's like, oh, I don't get to go. But there has to be a communication of who goes against each other and when and all of this stuff so that we do not have random wrecks on track. Okay, to further complicate this, we are on a road course or we are in one of our parking lot venues doing hot lapping. Hot lapping means when you just keep going around, there's lots of cars out there. That means I need to be able to communicate with another driver and I am not allowed to just jump in on him unless if he doesn't see me. So that means I'm either already tandeming with him and we are just gonna swap positions. So I just pull up on him and pass him in the back section of the track and we are just buddies and we know how to do this and we just swap back and forth tandeming constantly. Or possibly, you know, as we go around track, we make eye contact and I'm like, hey, and then he's like, yeah. And then we don't really have time to play the like 2-1 game. So I'll just be like, yeah, like go. So that means like, yeah, we're good to go. Get in front of me and I'm gonna tandem with you. And he's like, nah, like he'll point down on like my tires or something. I mean, I know if he points down, that means he has no tires. If he puts his hand out the window and goes like this, that means cool down lap. If he goes like this, that means no, get the hell out of here. I'm not going with you. Typically, we don't ever do this while we're driving. All we do is we go like this. And those are simple hand gestures. Don't make the hand gestures any more complicated than that, but those are typically our hand gestures. That one is super easy for cool down. No, we're not doing anything. Or yes, we're doing something. And that's go in front of me or like go behind me. I don't think anybody ever goes behind me. Everybody tells you to go in front. All right, lastly, we're just gonna talk about, you do not, if there's like 3 dudes in a group drifting, you do not just run up out of nowhere and jump in that group if you're on a hot lap scenario, unless they know you're there and they're comfortable with you already. Because you never know if there's a different driver in one of the cars and they've swapped out and someone's learning or teaching or something like that, or if they're on dead tires. If they're on dead tires, you do not want to run up at them, because if there's 3 cars in a row and we're drifting and I know there's 3 of us and I'm on dead tires, I'm gonna be like, you dudes go ahead of me, I'm following. That way, if I spin out because I have dead tires on entry or wherever else, it's not going to murder everyone. But if a 4th person jumped in behind us and I'm not aware of it, we could get messed up and cause a wreck because I'm in the back with dead tires. Very lastly, shouldn't run on dead tires when you're about to spin out because you can get hurt. But no, that's not the last thing. The real last thing is you always need to be situationally aware. You are 100% riding your car off every time you take it on any type of track. Anything can happen, and it's only your responsibility. Even if somebody barrels out of nowhere and T-bones you, it's still your fault, and you are not going to collect insurance or get him to pay for it. That's not a thing. You are responsible for yourself. So that means you always on track need to be situationally aware.
Ding! This is a great example of situationally aware. Just because I'm following a car in front of me doesn't mean I am not aware of all the other cars in front of him, somewhere along the track, media people, everything else. If you're unaware of what's going on, something terrible can happen. You need to make sure that you don't get lost in the smoke, that you don't have a car pop out of nowhere. It's your responsibility not to hit anything on track. Doesn't matter why it's on track, how long it's been on track. If they're spun out looking the wrong direction, going the wrong direction, there's a dog running around, you need to make sure you're always aware of what's going on and very situationally aware. Because if you were 5 cars back and then hit this car that spun out, it still would really suck and take everybody out that got hit in the accident. So be aware. Ding again. I'm just going to show you another one of these clips just so that you understand the importance and how often this stuff can happen. It is really important not to wreck your car. If you wreck your car, you're going to have a bad time. Do not wreck your car. Be situationally aware. Look ahead of you, look ahead of you, look ahead of you, look ahead of you. Also, no cars were harmed in the making of these videos.
That means look in your mirrors. You have side mirrors maybe. You have a rear view mirror. And each time I come around the track and I finish the track, I'll glance in my mirrors just to be situationally aware. That means I know there's no one behind me. I know who's in front of me. I look around the track to make sure some crazy person's not merging. I look even when I'm in tandem and I'm super close with someone. I have one eyeball over here and I'm looking in front of the other driver to see if anyone's spinning out 1 or 2 cars up, or if we're hot lapping and someone is spun and stalled out on track, I'm scanning the track in front of me. While I'm actually in drift, I am not scanning behind me, but when I'm about to go down the straight, I do scan behind me really quickly. You need to be situationally aware. And the more experience you get as a driver, the easier that is. And the newer you are, the harder it is. So if you're a brand new driver, you're just trying not to spin out and everything, and you need to keep it calm and collected. And if you're going down the straight and you don't feel it and something's wrong, don't just throw the car in and just try and drift because you feel like it's your last ability to do so in the day or in that session or anything else. Only drive when you feel comfortable and safe and the environment is safe and everything else. If you're getting in over your head, you need to back off because you could wreck your car at any moment, and you need to be careful because there could be a Mustang behind you and you could be about to die. That's it. Be careful in tandem etiquette. You need to make sure everyone around you in tandem knows what's going on. You need to know what order you're in. You need to know who's with you, and you need to make sure the grid worker knows what's going on, and use simple hand gestures we talked about, and don't barrel in on anyone that doesn't expect you. That's all. Goodbye. I'll see you at the next Lone Star Drift event, which is at this rate probably around 1 in March in Houston. See you later.